Hey guys, we are in the basement. Today we're going to do a tech video. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but there's actually this mod for Pinball 2000 games, Revenge from Mars, and Star Wars Episode 1. It is a video amplifier mod, and my understanding is this, is that Revenge from Mars and Pinball 2000, you know, they use, and the other Pinball 2000 game, Star Wars, they use a computer to drive this game, and the video signal has 1.5 volts, I guess. It's being pushed by 1.5 volts. And I guess the monitor, which is a standard res raster monitor, is actually looking for 5 volts. So in theory, the video signal is a little weak, and it can be much stronger, you know, up to 3 times, more than 3 times stronger, if you were to put a video amplifier in. Now, the video amplifier is sold by Ultimarc, which is a great company. They're out of the UK, and they just have such cool stuff, mostly for building MAME cabinets. I bought my J-Pack from there, and they sell this video amplifier. And so I ordered it last week, and it arrived like in about 3 days via DHL. Really exceptional service. The fact that it's a UK company, I would not let that deter you from ordering from them. So this is the video amplifier right here, and it's pretty simple. One end has a VGA plug, and the other end has a terminal block that we're going to make our connections to the monitor with, and it comes with the VGA cable as well. The VGA cable basically plugs into this, and then the other end plugs into the Pinball 2000 computer. And then on this end, we're going to make our connection to the monitor. And I'm going to do that here. I actually have some pre-made monitor Molex connectors. So I think we're going to end up using both of these. One of these I'm going to use for the RGB and the ground, and then the other I'm going to end up using just for 2 of the wires, the sync wires. And I don't remember where I got these. These were in my parts bin. It's always great to have stuff like this on hand. And I think while we're pulling the game out, I'm going to replace the battery on the computer, simply because my game never saves the date and the time. So that's kind of telling me that the battery, the lithium battery that's on the PC is probably dead. So I think we're going to do this today too. We might not, I don't know. But I tell you what, why don't I pull the game out, and we'll start replacing that video cable and put this new one in that's going to amplify the video and hopefully make it a little brighter. Actually, I should do a nice before here. Let me turn the light out. Okay, so this is before. And if you guys aren't familiar with Revenge from Mars or the Pinball 2000, you should definitely watch my Revenge from Mars video, because what's happening here is there's a monitor up there, and it's projecting this image onto this glass. And the glass in Revenge from Mars is a special glass. It has a coating on here. It's kind of like it's like a transparent mirror almost. So it's reflecting the image on there. So, you know, I never really thought my game looked bad, but I've had friends tell me that, you know, do this amplifier, it's gonna look way better. My friend did it, you know, so we're gonna give it a shot. It was only 20 bucks. So all right, let's pull the game out, and let's get this going. Okay, we got the game pulled out, so let's go behind here, and we're gonna basically remove the back door to get to the monitor here, and it's held on with a key. So let's open this up. Maybe. Okay, I haven't been back here in a long time. Let's see. So I'm looking for a monitor connection, and it's right here. Okay, so here's our monitor connection right here. Looking at the wiring. Let's see here. I can kind of get in there. Okay, so I actually went and got a mirror here because I'm trying to see. Just want to see the labels on here, and so this is RGB, ground, vertical sync, horizontal sync, and vertical sync, horizontal sync, and ground. I don't think we actually need to use all of those wires. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna disconnect the cable that's on the chassis right here, and then we're gonna disconnect the VGA cable that is on the computer back there. So why don't we do that first? So I'm just gonna reach my hand in here and just wiggle this off. And by the way, you definitely want to do this when the game is powered off. God, that thing is on there. It's like it's never been removed. Holy shit, is that on there? Jesus Christ. You know, I think I'm gonna go get a screwdriver. Be right back. Okay, I got this off. It was actually a bear to get off, but I used my screwdriver and basically kind of came down like this and pried it off from the bottom, and eventually I got one of the corners up. So, all right, that's off there. Now let's remove our VGA connection, which is gonna be up in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. Actually, let me double check here. Is that VGA? Let's see, the cable is right here. It goes to here, it goes over here, and then it goes down and up. Yeah, it's this one in the back. So let's go ahead and undo that. Okay, so we've got the VGA cable disconnected. So now we need to get it out of the little wire holders they've got here, which shouldn't be a big deal. All right. Okay, 1, 2, and it looks like there's one more back there. All right, so the VGA cable is free. Okay, and remember, this is a monitor. You know, you got to be careful. There is voltage in the tube. You definitely want to stay away from the anode cup, which is all the way in front there. So luckily, it's not near any of this stuff. But just be smart about this when you're putting your hand inside there. Okay, so we have the original cable off, and now we're gonna get our new cable all set up, and I think this will be pretty straightforward. So what I want to do here is make my RGB connections, and I'm gonna leave the old cable intact. I'm not gonna hack that up, so I'll put that back in the game. So I recommend getting a new cable to make this connection here. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my red, green, blue sync and ground connections using those two harnesses. And the reason I've got two of these is because, well, these are not wide enough. You could get one single Molex connector that is wide enough to go across the whole thing. I didn't have that on hand. I'm just using what I had in my parts drawer. And there's a lot of extra wires on here. I don't think we need all of these. So I think we're just gonna make our RGB connections, and we're gonna make a couple sync wires, and we'll turn it on and see what it does. So, okay, so I'm gonna turn the camera off, and I'm gonna go ahead and screw all these wires into the terminal. Be right back. Okay, so I'm starting to make my connections here, and I just kind of want to show you guys what I did. I don't know if you could see that in the mirror. Okay, so what I did is I had two Molex PIC connectors. One is perfect for the bottom half there, and I took the other one and I just cut it in half so I can use it for the top connections, which is the sync and the ground there. And I'm only going to hook up the red, green, blue, and ground on the bottom connector here, and then I'm going to hook up combine the sync wires from the top connector and the ground. And you could see, I don't know if you can see here, but the monitor actually labels them. So definitely get a mirror when you're doing this, but you can see the labels. I forgot I can zoom. So you can see the labels here. So you can see it from the bottom, R, G, B, and ground. We're gonna skip those sync wires right there, and then we're gonna go to the last three, which is from the top there, horizontal sync, vertical sync, and ground. And I'm gonna combine the the vertical and horizontal sync into one. So on mine here, I'm using a blue and a green wire for my sync wires. I'm going to combine both of those together and stick them into the sync terminal on our adapter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So let me grab my sync wires, and I'm going to put them both in this terminal and tighten it down. Okay, so we got our sync wires in there. Now I need to get my ground. I've already hooked up my red, green, and blue wires. So let's put the grounds in and then move on to the next step. Okay, so we have made all of our connections now. I have red, green, blue, and the ground, and I connected both grounds, and I also combined my sync wires. Now we need to hook up our VGA cable, and basically I'm just gonna screw one end onto here and then put the other end up on the computer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that because I can't really do it with one hand, so let me be right back. Actually, something just happened. I was having a hard time getting this plug in, so I took my my side cutters and I trimmed the plastic here on the bottom. Now it's going on nicely, so I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe I got one where the tolerance was a little bit off, but I was not able to get this cable to plug into this because the bottom of the plastic of the cable was hitting this, and I just wasn't able to make a connection. So I took some side cutters and I just trimmed the plastic around it, so now it can get in there nice and flush. Okay, be right back. Okay, we have made all of the connections here. Now it's a big mess right now, and I'm going to clean that up in a second. I'm actually going to get rid of all these extra wires. I'm going to put some zip strips on here and really neaten this up. But I don't want to do that yet till I know it's working right. So we made all of our connections here between the amplifier and the monitor, and then we made our VGA cable connection from the amplifier to the computer back there. Okay, so we are ready to turn this on, and let's do that, and then afterwards we'll tidy it up in there. So let's turn the game on. You know, I don't know why the switch on these Pin 2000 games is all the way back here. Most pinballs had the switch in the front. It's always a pain in the ass. All right, here we go. All right, so the game is on. Let's cross our fingers. Let's see if we see anything drastically different. Hopefully we're in sync. Nothing yet. Boy, I hope I didn't screw this up. Wow, the monitor's not on at all. Something is wrong. The monitor is on, but we have no picture. What's going on? Let me double check all my connections. That's on there pretty good. We have our connections here. Ground. Let's go take a look up in front again. Maybe we've got a picture. Shit! I'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and I actually figured out something here. I did a little research on the Ultimarc website, and apparently we need 5 volts going to this. Now, on some of the video cards that are out there on Revenge from Mars, 5 volts is coming off one of the pins. I did not test the voltages because I actually put the game back together just to make sure it wasn't that I didn't actually break my games. I put my old video card back in. So I didn't check the voltages, but I'm positive that I did this right, and I know that's got to be what it is. There's not 5 volts coming from my video card. And if there isn't, which appears to be the case of mine, and I'll verify this when I go back over there to put everything back together, if there isn't 5 volts, you actually have to connect a positive wire underneath here, right here. Now, I have a Wells Gardner monitor. I think it's a 7400. You shouldn't have to do this with the 7400. I did some research though, and I found some guys that were indeed having this same problem I'm having, where there's no video after you're doing this, and that's because this device is not getting 5 volts. So again, I researched it. We need to put a red wire here, a positive wire on that soldering pad right there, which is actually on the positive side of this cap right here. So this wire is on the positive lead of this cap, okay? And I ran a wire and I put a little quick disconnector here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this wire to the PC. I'm going to tap into 5 volts somewhere on the PC. There should be a free Molex coming off the power supply, and we're going to tap into that and get our 5 volts. We also need to get ground, okay? So we need to run a ground wire and a positive 5 volt wire from the power supply to this. We're going to connect the positive to this right here, which goes there, and then we're going to add a ground wire to our terminal block right here, to what is labeled ground on this white terminal block. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go take the game apart, and we're going to pull the PC out and see where we can tap into 5 volts, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have removed the PC. The PC was actually, I actually have never taken this out before. It was actually pretty easy to remove. This little box has the PC in it, and this thing actually is sitting on this little shelf right here. And all I had to do was disconnect all of these plugs here, and then this thing lifts up and it slides out and it comes out in this little box. So why don't we go bring it over to the box. Now I know that I probably should verify if the 5 volts is really present on that board, but I really am pretty positive that it's not. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap into this, and we're going to add a 5 volt wire. I don't see any harm because I wanted to remove this anyway so I could replace the battery on the PC. So here's the computer. Here's that battery that I want to replace. This is a 586 is what it says. I don't know, 586 GX. This is the Prism card here. What's interesting is that, you know, all the data for the game actually lives on this. There's no hard drive in this. We basically got to stick a RAM, a CPU, and a fan, and then this, what they call the Prism card, and this is what makes this hardware special and not just a PC. It's this custom hardware right here. And then over here's our power supply. I don't know, this might be a sound amplifier right here. So I need to tap into here somewhere and get 5 volts. This red, here's an open Molex right here. So this red here should be 5 volts, and here's our black should be ground. So I'm going to tap into that, and I'm going to use my multimeter after I power this up just to make sure that is indeed 5 volts and not some other mysterious voltage, but pretty certain the red is 5 volts. And here's another one over here we could tap into. So I got to run a ground wire and a positive 5 volt wire from in here out the box into the video amplifier when we mount it. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find some kind of a matching Molex connector for this and make something up really quick. Be right back. Okay, we are back. I actually had to run a Radio Shack to see if I can find a Molex connector that will plug into this. I actually didn't. Radio Shack did not have the correct Molex connector. They had this though, which is a like a hard drive power connector to SATA. So I bought this. I'm just going to cut these wires and tap into them, and then run the positive and negative out the side of the cabinet, out the side of the PC to the back where we're going to have our video amplifier. So I'm just going to go ahead and just cut all these wires off, and then I'm going to cut off the ones I don't need, which are these, and I'm just going to cut this here. And so I'm going to strip this. Okay, so we're stripped, and now I'm just going to basically extend these wires out. I'm actually going to make a twisted pair, and this is actually kind of fun. So I'm going to get some wire here, like so. I've got my red and black wire, and I want to basically make what we call a twisted pair, and it's actually kind of easy and fun to do. Shit, this wire. Let me go get the other. This, I want to use stranded wire. This is actually solid wire right here. So I'm going to get another roll of stranded. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I've got my red and black stranded wire, and I want to make a twisted pair. And by the way, you know, I've never really done a video like this. I'm actually, you know, I'm going through this as it's really happening, and I'm experiencing little hiccups here and there that I have to overcome, like this whole power thing. So I guess this is a pretty good example of how these things kind of go down. So I'm going to make a twisted pair. Let me tighten up the chuck here. Okay. What I want to do is I want to put my wires in the chuck and tighten it down. Okay. And then basically, I'm going to take the wires here and I'm going to let the drill do all the work. And it's going to make a nice, very nice twisted pair that we're going to use then to run our power from the cabinet. I actually want it to be a little bit longer. It came out of the chuck here, so let's try it again. Sometime the wire will break, which is what just happened right here. So let's put this back in the chuck. Now I'm going to make this longer than I need it, because I don't want to get behind the cabinet and then it doesn't reach. So I'm going to just make this really long. Yeah, it's kind of binding up here. Alright, so let's see what we got going on here. Alright. Okay, I think that should be long enough. That's pretty long. So let me pull it out of the chuck here. Alright, so let's see what we have. Yeah, we've got a crazy long twisted pair. I mean, this is about 4 feet long. This would be plenty. Just cut this. Just broke my side cutters. You know, that's the second pair of those side cutters that I've broken. It's very strange. Okay, so we have our twisted pair, and this is a really nice, tightly wound thing. It's going to be really clean in the cabinet. I'm going to get rid of this end here. It's a little chewed up from the chuck. Okay, so now I want to basically make this connection then to the Molex that I got at Radio Shack. So I'm actually going to solder these wires onto it and then put a little heat shrink tubing over it so it's nice and neat. And that will be, this will be our 5 volts and ground that we're going to run to the video amplifier. So let's go over to the soldering station. Okay, here we are at the soldering station. So basically I want to just join these wires. I'm also going to use some heat shrink tubing here. Just so we're kind of nice and neat with these connections. So I'm just going to cut a little length of this. And I just bought this at Radio Shack. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just off-the-shelf heat shrink tubing. Probably using too much, but this will be good. Alright, so we're going to stick this over your wire first. And now I want to basically join these and then solder them, and then we're going to melt the heat up the heat shrink tubing. I'm going to try to do this the kind of pigtail way, where we basically kind of separate these like so. I guess when I set out to do this video, I didn't think it was going to be a soldering lesson, but like I said, you never know what's gonna pop up when you start working on this stuff. And alright, so we're gonna kind of pigtail these. Let's see if I can do this. This was something that I learned in electronics class in high school. I normally don't do stuff like this, but if we're going to use the heat shrink tubing, you can see it's going to be able to go over that nice and easily. Okay. Just turn the light on, maybe that'll help. Okay, so now we're going to throw some solder on these and then melt our heat shrink tubing. And, you know, I'm heating up the wire first and then touching the solder to the wire, and hopefully our heat shrink tubing will fit over this mess that I'm making on here, because that always sucks when it doesn't. I could have probably pulled the pins out of this Molex connector instead of doing it this way, but this is quick and easy. So we're going to put our heat shrink tubing now over. Hopefully it'll fit. Probably should wait a little bit, let it cool off, but alright, so we got that one over. And we're going to do the same on this one. You know, this is just a cleaner way of doing this. You could use electrical tape, and I have a lot, you know, but I've had guys call me out like on videos, oh, you can't use electrical tape. But, you know, sometimes you just don't have this stuff on hand. I happened to go to Radio Shack tonight, and I got it. They actually charge a lot for this stuff. I probably should be buying this stuff online. Okay, so we've got our tubing over our solder joints. You could take a lighter to this now, or we could take our soldering iron. And hopefully that we'll just kind of run it over here. And we're just kind of heating up the tubing. And when it heats up, it contracts. And it's contracting. Okay, I think that's pretty good. That's on there. So our connections are covered. And now I can plug this into that open slot. So let's go over here. And we'll make our connection here and get on there. Okay. So if we did that right, we've now got 5 volts and ground going to this wire, and I'm going to run it out a hole here. I don't really see any other holes. There's one right here. I think I'm just going to go out this hole right here, which is where the video card is, and just run it out that. And I'm going to actually throw a little zip strip on here just to kind of keep it neat in there. So you can see this was originally zip stripped here, so I'm just going to run another one over it, just so we keep it neat in here. And I don't really see a problem with this at all, so I think that's good. Now I did replace the battery earlier off camera, so the original lithium battery in there that keeps time, which is that. So that battery was dead. I actually tested it with my multimeter, and so I replaced that. So this thing should now be keeping the time and date, which it never was since day one. So that should hopefully be all fixed. You know what? I'm going to blow this out. When I was at Radio Shack, I also picked up some compressed air. So I noticed it was pretty dusty in here. So I'm going to just blow this out. Just kind of get some of that dust. I've actually never ever opened this game, this cabinet. Get some on the fan there. What I really should have done is replace that fan while I got it open, because that fan on the CPU, I mean, that's been in there for, oh shit, since what, 1999? So 15 years that fan's been going. And those can fail. It looks pretty clean now. Cleaner than it was. I'm actually going to throw another zip strip on here. I don't know if I want to connect to the Prism card here. I think that's going to be alright. Just trying to see if there's any danger if I pull on this, if it's what it's going to hit. And really, it's not going to hit anything. So that little zip tie there is good. Okay, so I'm going to put this back together, and we're going to go back to the game, and we're going to put it in. Okay, let's put the computer back in. So I put the lid back on. We've got our wire hanging out, and I just basically need to make all these connections again. So I'm going to put the power in right here. This really goes together pretty easily. On the light here. Okay, that's good. So now we have to plug this one back in, and this one also has a little loop. It's pretty actually kind of cool. By the way, this is a power switch, so make sure that's on or your game will not turn on. And so now we just want to make our other connections here on the other side. So I'm not going to connect the VGA because we're going to use the new one. So I'm wondering if I might be better off connecting these from the rear to be able to get to it a little easier. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, so we're in the back, so let's get this door off. And by the way, 1 day has passed since we first started filming this video. So, alright, so I need to get this back off again. You know, I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to get the video cable off real quick. 1 sec. Okay, so we've made all of our connections to the PC there. I ran my power wire now through the back here, and I'm going to actually put it nicely in these little loops. So it'll just kind of blend in with the original wiring. Turns out the length that I made here is actually pretty great. So it's perfect length. Now we do need to plug the new video cable back in, and we're also going to mount the amplifier. So let's go ahead and loop this in here, because I really want to make this. I want it to look original, like this was the way it was since day one. So we got all our wires looped in there. Wow, it looks like I was pretty much dead nuts on the length on that. Okay. Wow, not much to spare. Actually, it's a little short, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to forego this loop right here. And that should give me the extra length that I need to reach where I want to mount the video amplifier. Okay, so that should be plenty there. So you can see we've got plenty. I want to mount the video amplifier on this wall right here. So now I need to do is we need to make our connections here. our positive and our negative 5 volts from the PC. So I'm going to strip these like so. And what we need to do, and by the way, I totally cleaned up this this harness since the last time we looked at it. So I went through here and I made this very nice and presentable. I put the wire here for the 5 volts, and I actually put a little lead on it like there. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually not going to hook this up just yet. I want to turn the game on once, and we're going to verify whether or not we're getting 5 volts here. Because if the video card is outputting 5 volts, then we should be able to measure it right here. And I should have did this before, but since I already had the PC open, I didn't see any harm in doing this, because I didn't want to put it back together and take it back apart again. So I just went ahead and ran 5 volts, assuming that my problem is indeed a voltage issue, and I'm pretty certain it is. So let's make our connections here. I'm going to plug in my video and my sync and my ground into the monitor, and we're going to turn the game on, and then I'm also going to measure this voltage to make sure it is indeed 5 volts coming from the PC. And we can take a look over here, making my connections. I don't know if you could see right there. And so the ground should be on the bottom. On this one it is. So I made my connectors okay. Alright. So you can see there, we made our connections. So we're hooked up again to this, but we don't have any power to it yet, but I want to actually verify that. So we're going to turn the game on now, and I'm not going to mount this yet until I know it works. And actually I need to hook up the video cable real quick, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to hook up the video cable, so let's go in here. You know, this would have been a very simple job if it would have worked. It didn't work. So if you've got 5 volts coming out of your video card, I think this is about a 20-minute job total. Definitely has taken me longer than I was anticipating. So, okay, so we've got it all hooked up. I'm going to go turn the game room on. Let me just make sure. So these wires are loose. That's okay. We're going to measure the voltage there to make sure that's 5 volts. We're going to measure here to make sure there's no voltage here, because if there is, then we know we need to make a connection. I don't see any danger in that hanging the way it is. Let's just double check, make sure I didn't leave anything disconnected or anything before I turn the game on. In fact, I'm going to turn the switch off on the game. I want to be here when it turns on. So we've got all of our connections. I'm just double checking my work. I don't want to ruin this game. So I love this game and I do not want to break it. So, alright, let's go turn the arcade on. And I do that at the top of the stairs here. I got some switches. So we're gonna actually turn the entire arcade on. And these are them. I try to turn them on reasonably slow. Okay. So this is what it's like when the arcade turns on. Some of the games haven't warmed up yet. And I always kind of take this walk to make sure everything is still working. Because sometimes it doesn't. Alright, so let's turn this on, and we should still get no video, which is what we want. But I want to measure the voltages. So the game should be booting. Close the coin door here. PC is running, we've got a little pilot light there. And I'm feeling the fan. So alright, so the game booted, no monitor. That's good. Let me go grab my multimeter. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I got my multimeter, and so first thing I want to do is I want to see, I don't want these to short out, so I gotta be careful of these bare wires here. So let's just check. We're gonna check this to see if we've got 5 volts here. So if we press, I need to find a ground here. I'm just gonna use the monitor chassis here as a ground. So I kind of want to do this in such a way where I don't short anything out. So I'm gonna put my my lead over here. It should give me a ground. And we are getting a measurement of only about 1.1 volts. So we should be getting, you know, 5 volts here, and we're only getting a little over 1. So now let's double check my wires over here to make sure this is 5 volts before we plug it into that board. So I'm gonna put my and this is only DC volts, so there's really no risk here of me getting shocked. Okay, so we got 5 volts. Alright, so we verified there is not 5 volts present on this board, which I suspected, and I was right. And we were successful in our hookup to the PC. We've got 5 volts here. So now we need to connect this to that. So I'm going to turn the game off. I don't want to do this with the game on, but I just wanted to see what we were working with. So I'm going to turn the game off. Alright, so the game is now off. And I actually had a little forethought here because on this, I put this little quick connector on here for the positive. So we're going to make this connection and then crimp it. Let me actually take this male off. This is like a male female quick connect. I actually love these. I use these all the time. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here. And this is how we're going to connect. And I'm doing this because if I ever have to take this apart, I don't have to cut any wires. Okay, seems like that's pretty good. Hit it from the other side. Okay, so that's going to take care of this connection, which is going to run the positive voltage directly. Oops! It's going to run the positive voltage directly to the positive lead on this cap, which is this trace right here. Okay, so now we need our negative, which is going to go into our terminal here on the negative. And actually I can see right now I've got a bit of a problem because this wire's a little shorter because I left an extra lead on this one. So I'm actually going to unravel it a little bit from here. Okay, so let me get my screwdriver. Okay, so I want to run to our ground on here, which is this last terminal. So let me loosen this up. And we're going to add it to these other grounds. Going to kind of twist it, and then we're going to stick it in that hole. Let me open that up as far as I can. Hopefully it fits in there. It's going to be a little tight. Okay, I got the 3 wires in there, and they feel like they're in there pretty good. It's a tight fit, for sure, but it's good. Okay, so we're going to turn the game on, and we're going to check our voltages again, just to double check our work. I'm not going to mount this just yet, but I suspect now when we turn this on, we are going to get a picture, and I'm crossing my fingers on that. So, let's go over here. Let's turn the game on. Okay. And there we go. We've got a picture. So that was it. It was the 5 volts. So this picture now should be brighter, I guess, in theory, than it was before. We should have more contrast. Yeah, we fixed it. It works. And wow, yeah, I can notice right away that picture is definitely sharper. Way more contrast. Holy shit, yeah. Yeah, guys, this is a big improvement. This is definitely noticeable. Let me turn the light off here, actually. Yeah, that is a big difference. It's never looked that. I mean, it looks like a brand new monitor. I actually don't even feel like I need to adjust it at all. Wow, I am pretty happy with this. Let's kind of start a game here. Wow, it's never, honestly, I've never seen it looking like this. Oh yeah, big difference. And I'm kind of playing with the brightness and the contrast. Yeah, this was a success, definitely. I'm gonna have to adjust the monitor, I think, a little bit, but not much. So I think we're gonna turn the game off and I'm gonna mount the thing back there because I don't want to do it while the game's on. And we're just gonna kind of neaten up our work. So let's turn the game off. All right, so let's go back here. Make sure I got all my tools before I get myself back here. Okay. And so basically now I want to screw this. I'm going to screw this to the side of the cabinet. I got these screws here, some wood screws. They're a little bit big, so I don't want to go in too far. I don't want the heads touching the circuit board, so I'm just gonna kind of. Let's see, which way should I go? Like this or like this? Maybe if I can get my drill in here. Come down a little lower, I think. Yeah, I think this will be a good spot. I'm not gonna go all the way in with this. I'm actually gonna loosen it up a little bit so the heads aren't touching the circuit board. That's good. It's in there pretty nice. So now we got to kind of just neaten this up a little bit. It's actually not that bad. Looks good. So let's take advantage of these little loops that are here. That looks pretty nice. And we'll run this one right here, like so. And there's a loop right here even. So it looks like it was a factory job. And we're gonna come over here and do these loops. And this one. And I'd say that looks pretty tidy. Let's see if we can condense these wires so they're not on the door when we shut it. Everything looks pretty good. So let's turn the game back on and make sure we didn't short anything with this business, with the screws. But it's in there pretty nice. Okay, so let's turn it back on. It's kind of tight back here. Ow. Game's on. And yeah, it still works. So that was a success, guys. So there you go. There you have it. I mean, I did this in kind of real time, and it didn't go as smooth as I was hoping, but hopefully you guys learned something, and I wouldn't be afraid to do this. Now, of course, what I just did applies strictly to the Wells Gardner. It's a 7400, I believe, is the model I have. There is a Ducksan monitor that they use in these games. That is a complete nightmare to do. It's not like this because the connector is completely different than what we went through to wire the video connector to the audio amplifier. I mean, the video amplifier, the wires and the connections and the sinks are completely different. There is no 5 volts on that Ducksan, so you have to do the voltage mod that I did here on with mine. But you know what? I mean, just based on what I'm seeing right here, this monitor looks completely different. I don't know if right now I have the lights on, so I don't know if you can't really tell maybe so much. But just standing here looking at this, this is a huge improvement. And it was $22 for this thing from Ultimarc.com. They charge about 15 bucks for shipping. It came in about 2 days, so $37 total. And boy, that looks damn good. So, all right, guys, there you have it. That was the Ultimarc video amplifier mod for Revenge from Mars. By the way, guys, if you've never subscribed to my channel, now would be a fantastic time to do that. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. By the way, look at this giant mess I made working on this. I mean, man alive. I try to keep this area pretty neat because it can look like this very easily, and this is all just from tonight. So... Anyway, there you guys have it. Click that subscribe button. Subscribe to my little channel. Hey, you know what? I have a podcast every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern at allgames.com. We do a live podcast. That's right. It's called Video Game Outsiders. Our website is videogameoutsiders.com. Go there to check out our website and listen live at allgames.com on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys, I guess that's it. We'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. Please subscribe. Talk to you soon. Later.